It's a Drama, coming to you from Taranaki, New Zealand.
Hello.
Daddy, I love him!
Mother thanks you.
All right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up.
Hello. In this week's episode, we're going to be talking about whether New Zealand is behind the times. We get lots of people who say they want to move to New Zealand, but they think New Zealand might be a little bit backward. So we thought we'd jump on here and give you some facts. There's 10 of them. I have to warn you that number 7 is a little bit, I didn't know whether to say it or not. If you're a little bit conservative, you might just want to switch off, but I've warned you, so don't say I haven't. But let's jump in and enjoy the episode.
Hello and welcome to the It's a Drama podcast. I'm Liz.
And I'm Brian.
And today we're going to be talking about, is New Zealand behind the times? But before we dive into that, that's what we're talking about today. If you're new to this channel, we are Liz and Brian, husband and wife. We emigrated to New Zealand 12 years ago. We've traveled the world, we've homeschooled, started our own businesses. But right now we're talking about moving to New Zealand because we live in the most beautiful place in the world, and we just want to help other people if they want to move here, see what it's like, and just try and give you our view on what it's like to live in New Zealand.
Yep, and it would really help us if you click the subscribe button, and you should get a little bell notification to say you're subscribed, and that would really help us.
Yeah.
And always leave a comment. Really helps us too.
Yeah. Is it me or is there lots of flies? It's driving me. But if you live in New Zealand, can you just comment and say whether is it just us? We live in the country, and I'm just wondering if it's because we live in the country that we've got lots of flies.
Well, it's not like lots and lots of flies, but there's about 4 flies that are just annoying. You can't.
Yeah,
doesn't matter what you do.
In a big room, and all they want to do is just come and sit with us.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on to, is New Zealand behind the times? So the reason we want to talk about this, and just to give you a little insight, actually, we've got a new thing today that Brian doesn't know what we're talking about.
Which is about normal.
No. Do you know why that is? Do you know why we're doing it? Is because when I say to Brian, let's talk about that, because he is what's the word? Like a person who gets all these facts and things, you don't like to...
A genius.
A boring old sod, but you like to know where. No, I'm not joking. I'm just joking. Yeah. You like to know like your facts and things like that, and sometimes that sort of like stifles the
conversation.
The flow.
What it does, yeah.
So we were like, okay, let's just go off the seat of our pants, and don't rely on me to give you any good facts, because I know all I know is nothing. So don't rely on me. So hopefully Brian will be able to just say some good stuff.
Yeah, and I haven't got a clue what we're going on about.
Right. Well, what we're going on about, I'll tell you exactly what we're going on about.
Okay.
How many times have you heard when you say to people about moving to New Zealand, how many times have you heard them say, look, I'm pointing, heard them say, I've heard it's a bit backwards. So these are the things that we've noticed since living here for 12 years that I reckon, look, you can stick that in your pipe and smoke it, to be honest, when you say New Zealand's behind the times.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, so
yes.
Point number 1 about if you're moving to New Zealand, you're coming to New Zealand, you're wondering, is it a little bit backwards? Point number 1 is, and this is what Mark was talking about down the cafe the other day, smoking.
Yeah.
Smoking, Bri.
Yeah. Well, you never see really anybody smoking in New Zealand. This is our opinion as well, by the way. It's not, I've not written down where nobody smokes in New Zealand, because obviously there's
no, actually, thank you very much. I've got some facts. Okay. So 25%, hang on, is that right? In the UK, 25% of people smoke, and in New Zealand, 20% of people smoke. That's it.
Okay.
So there's only like a 5% difference.
Yep. That's a lot of people.
But it's massive.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it's huge. Yeah.
And we were talking to a guy down in the cafe the other day, an ex...
head teacher?
Yeah, head teacher.
Principal of the school. Yep.
They don't say headmaster anymore. You can't say that.
No, it's principal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Head teacher.
And he was just saying, New Zealand, he said, if someone lights a cigarette up now in New Zealand, it's like, you're smoking. Because he was saying about that woman that you saw outside the cafe, wasn't he? Yes, and yet when we went back to England, I'm going to keep referring back to the UK, and, we're English. So it's just like, I am going to keep referring back because that's all we can compare it to.
Yeah.
We were, Europe actually. Oh my God, how many people were smoking?
Yeah, it's just lots, and especially a lot of young people seem to be smoking because they think it looks cool and you're okay for, the first 10 years of your adult life. I don't know why that comes from. As if
what do you mean?
Well, like I'm okay to smoke for 10 years, then I'll give up.
Is that what they think?
Yeah.
Who told you that?
Oh, because that's what they think. You're all right. You smoke for 10. That's what it's like I don't know, what would you call it?
Like a known thing.
Yeah, that you're okay for the first 10 years. And
Oh,
it's
that's
just like,
just silly,
really? The
isn't
amount
it?
of damage you're doing? I don't know.
But you know what, Bri?
What?
He was an ex-smoker, and there's nothing worse than an ex-smoker.
Yeah.
My
Have
mum
you,
told me
ever
that.
smoked?
No, I've never smoked in my life, and neither of you, have you?
Not really.
Well, you do
No.
like once you used to have some secret fags.
Yeah.
But my
Got
mum
done by
said
my
there's
mum
nothing
once.
worse than an ex-smoker. They're always the worst. They're the ones that are coming out complaining. But anyway, that's a different topic. But honestly, it feels very, when we went back to England, 3 years ago, it just felt like, oh my God, there's lots of people smoking
Yeah.
and vaping. And like, don't get me wrong, you see it in New Zealand, but not very often.
No,
So there you go.
you don't. It's on the circles that we hang around in. You don't really see it. You don't
We haven't
really
got any friends, so you
yeah,
can't
but you
really
don't
say
really
that.
see that many people smoking on the.
Do you know
in the
anyone
streets.
who smokes?
I had an apprentice who was working for me, and he smoked, and he was only 18.
And did it look weird when he was smoking? Did it
Well,
feel
he
like,
used to
did you
have
sort
to-
of say,
yeah.
oof,
It was
excuse
just like
me?
you'd stop at Smoko, which is 10 o'clock break in the mornings, and
That's weird. In
you'd
New
have a
Zealand, they
cigarette.
call it smoko.
Yeah.
They don't call it tea break. Well, you don't say, what do we call it in England?
Well, you got the Cornish call it crib.
Yeah, I like
and
that
you've got
word.
tuck, and
Oh, yeah,
or
tuck.
just a break.
Yeah, just have a break.
yeah,
But they
morning
call
break.
it smoko.
Smoko, yeah, your smoko break, yeah, which obviously was
That's got to mean smoking, hasn't it?
obviously, yeah.
Let us know if you're a
Yeah.
Kiwi, please. New Zealanders, let us know. Does that mean that you used to go for a fag?
Yeah, we have your smoko room.
Yeah.
Any place that employs people has a smoko room.
Okay, so there's number one. Number
Yep.
two that I really noticed when we came over here was you can go into a shop in New Zealand, like let's say a dairy, which is like the equivalent to a corner shop.
Yep.
A little,
Like a 7-Eleven
Yeah.
or a Spar, or
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think of a sort of shop,
And you can buy like a 50-cent bag of sweets and you can pay for it with your bank card, which in New Zealand they call the FPOS card.
Yep.
And there's no charge. There's no like, oh no, you've got a minimum. When I was in England, it was like, you've got to have a fiver at least. And then
I think if that's the case, if you're using in the UK, because you had your Visa Electron and there was another one, MasterCard one, wasn't it? Maestro. And I don't think there's any spend limit on those, because
Isn't
they
there?
don't have this, although it's like using your MasterCard and stuff like that. Using a credit card, it's a minimum spend £10.
Yeah, but even not your credit card. I'm sure you can't just go into a shop and put 50p on your card.
I think if you had a Visa Electron, you might have done, but they came out in
and also
late 90s?
New Zealand banking, far more superior than the UK banking.
Yep, you have to pay for it though.
Yeah.
So-
Shush.
Oh.
It's worth it. I'm sorry, it's worth it.
Yep.
It's like the doctors, isn't it?
Yep.
How many times have we heard, oh yeah, free NHS? I don't care. I'd rather pay for the doctors and get the service that I get in New Zealand than going to the doctors in the UK and having to sit there feeling pressurized and thinking, you've only got 5. It was horrible if you had more than one thing's wrong with you.
I know. Yeah, you've got to book another appointment. It was just, I've just taken an hour off work.
I know. And it
it's
literally, I mean, I know it's not the doctor's fault, but that's what it felt like. It was like you just had that time slot.
Yeah.
And I remember saying to the doctor in England, oh, but I was taking testing. I said, oh, by the way, she's got, oh, no, can you just make another appointment for that? We haven't got time to chat about that now.
Yeah. No,
It's
I remember going there with a couple of things, and then it only see me on one thing. It's like, I've only got time to see you on one thing.
Yeah.
You've only got 15 minutes. And you're like, what?
So yes, you do pay for the doctors in New Zealand, and it's like $70 or I think it's like $55 or something, New Zealand dollars, is it?
I think the last time I went
Kids
to the
under
doctors,
18 are free.
Yeah.
You haven't been to the doctors for 50 years.
I had a sore eye, didn't I?
Oh, yeah.
The other day. Yeah.
And how much did you pay?
I think I paid $68.
And how long were you in there? 2 days?
Yeah, stayed overnight. A list of things.
Right, I've been here for 50 years. Listen to this.
Yeah, they struck me off the register because I hadn't been there for so long.
They struck you off the register and they put you in charge of it. They gave you a nurse.
Yeah, they said like the doctor that you were with before has now left, and now you're just going to have a nurse.
What's wrong with that?
I don't know.
Like an old nurse, a nursing person.
But
That's what they do with old people.
Yeah, that's
it's like
it.
you have the nurse just check in on you.
That's it.
Home help.
Yeah, she's lovely.
Was she?
She's got warm hands.
Right. Anyway, so banking. I just think the overall banking system in New Zealand, yes, you pay for it, but you want something done, you want something set up. We've started lots of business in New Zealand, and you go in and it's bang. It's up and running within like 24 hours, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. I know when I went to open up an account in the UK, and this is over 12, it must be about 14, 15 years ago. Oh, the amount of stuff you had to go through was unbelievable with passports, and not only passports, every sort of ID that you could think of. And, you had to have proof of where you were living. It's like, well, how did you get that? Well, you need a bank statement. Well, that's why I went with a bank account, because we'd moved, didn't we, from somewhere to somewhere else. It was, just to open up an additional account.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I've already got an account. Oh, yeah, we have to recheck you and do all this. And it was just like, wow. But here, it's just, I remember opening an account in the UK for when you come into New Zealand. And it was just, that was one of the easiest things. And then we went into Auckland as we flew in, didn't we?
Oh, yeah. Do you remember that?
And went and signed up, and the people were so nice with the, getting the cards sorted for you. Yeah.
That's a different story. But, if you go and listen to the podcast about us moving to New Zealand and what we were afraid of when we moved to New Zealand, because that sort of brings the highlights of, just the things we were afraid of and how it was just, it was just totally unjustified.
Yeah.
But so moving on. So the banking system, definitely far more forward thinking.
Yes. It just seems a little bit more relaxed, a little bit easier. And I know they had FPOS. FPOS is just like I say, a Visa. It's an electronic card. It doesn't have a chip and pin on it, and it doesn't seem to have a pay wave. It just seems to be a magnetic strip on the back, and you just swipe it through, put your PIN number in, and away you go.
And the other thing as well is if you lose your FPOS card, it's a weird name, that, isn't it?
It doesn't have a name on it. It just has a number on it, doesn't it? That's it.
Yeah. And if you lose it, you just go into the bank and you say, oh, yeah, I've lost my card. I think it's like $15 or something like that.
Yeah.
And they literally just give you a new one there and then, don't they?
Yeah, you just sign
it's just
in
easy.
And
it's just better, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And the third thing I want to talk about, I think we're on number 3, aren't we? What are we? Yeah, number 3. I'll be really quick with this, but this is just something that, there's a fly on the camera. Are we just going to see like a big fly's head?
Yeah, probably.
Brush it off. Blow. Go away. It's just sitting on the lens.
Maybe I should just throw an Oreo at
no,
the
don't.
camera.
No, don't. Because hang on. Can I just go and brush it off?
You can push it off. There you go.
Oh, what if all this time it was just big
just like
fly's
that,
head
looking
looking in? Welcome to Liz and Brian's YouTube channel, just a big fly.
The fly.
Right, I'm going to be really quick with this one. I don't want to have a big in-depth conversation about this, Brian, but this is something that I noticed when we came to New Zealand. I just thought, what a fantastic idea. When the kids are crossing to go to school, they have these big barrier things. So first of all, they put kids in charge of it. So if you're on like crossing duty for the school.
Yeah, like a zebra crossing.
Like a zebra crossing. Yeah. But they don't just like have the kids standing at the side of the road going, oh, come on, like, brushing the traffic, waving the traffic on. They have these big like arm things that they put over.
No, it's a big arm that sits onto it's almost like a farmer's gate. It sits onto a pole, and then the whole thing swings out, doesn't it, into the middle of the road with a big stop sign on it.
Yeah.
And the kids just walk out with it.
Yeah.
And it's one either side of the road, and away you go.
Tell the truth, what you said the other day.
Well, we were driving by.
You angry little man.
Yeah, well, that's,
No, Bri.
It's when you're coming up to a crossing and there's a whole bunch of people there standing near the crossing, you're going to almost like stop because you're thinking, I'm near a school here. And what it was is they were getting ready to do a lesson on how to use the things, but they'd accumulated right on the crossing.
Well, obviously, they
move
were
away
teaching
from
them
it.
how to do the
Move
crossing.
away from it.
Oh, what? I know. Today we're going to do a lesson on how the crossing, but stand a million miles away from that.
But he was just talking to them about it. So
Brian was doing a driving lesson with Tess. And he's like, oh, that's a ridiculous place to stop. Look at all those people. And we were like, actually, they are teaching the kids how to cross the road. Anyway, so that's really great. Yeah. All right. Number 5, internet. Oh, Brian. Internet.
Yep.
Tinternet.
So Tinternet.
Much better here, I reckon.
Yeah. Well, honestly, we're out in the middle of the country, and we were on a copper line, and we used to get about. This is only just under 8 months ago. We used to get around about 16 megabits a second down, and 1 megabit a second upload speed, just on normal, sort of broadband copper line internet. There's no fiber where we are. So what's great with New Zealand, they made it sort of legislation that the companies had to make, high speed internet available to all the country. So we're on a wireless broadband system, which ours comes from the Green School just down the road, and we jump onto their network. We have a little transmitter thing on the roof, and we can get up to 100 megabits a second download and 100 megabits a second upload, which is just outstanding for where we are.
I've got no idea what you just said, but I'll tell you what, it's when you click that Safari, it goes so quick.
Yeah, but we upload 4K videos up to YouTube. Like this one will be a 4K video, and it's up there. It's these things like, I don't know, knocking on must be 20 gigs size of the file that we upload to YouTube, and it's up in less than 20 minutes, isn't it?
I never forget when we went over to, no, actually I went over on my own, didn't it? I went over to England with my mum, and this is going back a little bit, so it might have improved by then. But I went over and you told me to go, and I said, well, what should I do about the phone? And you're like, oh yeah, just go and buy a local SIM.
Yep.
So I was visiting my brother in Cornwall, in Devon actually, in Tavistock, and you said just go and buy a local SIM card, didn't you? And I put it in, and I was like driving down around in Cornwall, and I said to you, I had to phone you up from the not call box. It wasn't that bad. I sent you a telegram, didn't I?
Yeah.
I was like, cannot get internet.
Yeah, but you go to,
Why? There was no service anywhere.
No, I know. I remember 3 years ago being, and
imagine if it's an emergency.
Yeah, the only place in the world we traveled that had GPRS. And you're like, that's the days, that's almost like dial-up speed.
Yeah.
And that's the days before rock and roll with the internet. And it's not even 3G, it's GPRS. So yes, you can send a text. And that's about it, really, isn't it? Like, and that was in places in Cornwall, like on Bodmin Moor. You're coming across Bodmin Moor. I haven't seen that for years, like,
No.
And even going to India, I never saw 3G in India. It was all 4G minimum.
I'll tell you where does have bad internet. Sri Lanka. No, Brian.
It wasn't so much bad. It was expensive.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. Even for
all I remember is we were never allowed to do anything.
Yeah, because the kids were like
sucking it out.
I think our limit was 2 gig a day or 5 gig a day or something like that. If they jumped onto my hotspot, it was gone in about 2 hours.
Yeah.
The whole thing was just gone because it's upload download. So it was bugger all.
So New Zealand, brilliant for internet.
Great internet. There's 5G available here. So New Plymouth. So I think Sonny, he's in a flat in the middle of New Plymouth city centre. 5G. Sent me a screenshot of his speed test. 350 megabits a second.
Is that what turns men on? Is it just like, look at that? Look at that.
350 megabits a second. When you look at it as say you've got a song on Spotify, a really good quality song would be probably around about 10 to 15 megabits. So 315 megabits a second. It just gives you an idea how many songs in a second you can upload.
Oh.
Not that you'd ever get that off most websites, you just wouldn't, but it just means you can do multiple things,
Anyway, number 7. Oh, no, hang on. Before I do that, I did write down, and we're not going to talk about it, but remember New Zealand was the first country in the world to give women the vote. They are the 13th country to legalize gay marriage. So there's just another 2 facts that I want to talk, just thought I'd throw in there. And this is, I was like, oh, should I say this on the on the internet? But I am going to say it. But, if you're a bit squeamish about these things, maybe just turn off. But look, I've got to say this because this is a big thing for women, right? Coming from the UK, don't do that face. What are you doing?
I don't know what you're going to talk about.
Well, why are you doing that face?
Because this is a big thing for women. So is it what?
I like this.
Is it like down belows that we're talking about?
Actually, Brian, yes, it is.
Oh, okay.
So don't laugh.
So do a serious
showing
face.
yourself ignorant. Being, modern man.
I'll have an Oreo.
No, all I want to say, I'm going to be quick about this, is, and I wasn't going to say, but I'm like, but I'm going. No, I am going to say it because, when you have a smear test in England, right? honestly, you have to go in and you put your feet up in stirrups. It's horrendous. It is so like, not embarrassing, but it's just, what's the word when you just...
Undignified.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
God, you're good with your words lately, aren't you?
Right.
Yeah, you are. You're just doing lots of good words. Undignified, right? So that's all I've ever known. It's like, ever since I've had a smear, that's what you do. Is like legs up in the stirrups and like you're laying there. Oh, it's awful. And it puts you, to be honest, it puts you off going for a smear because you're like, oh, I might just,
Not go.
yeah, but
Yeah.
I never did that, obviously. But I can see why you would, because you'd just be thinking, oh. Anyway, to cut a long story short, I come to New Zealand, go for this smear test, walk in the doctor's, and she's like, okay, jump on the bed and lay on your side. And I was like, where are the stirrups? Excuse me. And she's like, oh no, we stopped doing that years ago in New Zealand.
Wow.
And it was just, and I thought I'd just point that out because that's a huge thing. It's something we have to have done every year, every 2 years, whatever, from the age of from a certain age. And it's just, that's huge.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's like in America or anywhere else in the world. In fact, you know what? Because I'm a little sicko who wants to know, do you put your legs in stirrups? Just please, can you comment and just say stirrups or no stirrups?
That's all it needs to be. We're not talking horse riding here.
Yeah, actually, just send me an emoji of a stirrup if that's
All right.
I
thought you were going to send me a picture of your stirrups.
No. Right. Okay. So the other, no, I don't even know what number we're on. What number we're on? I'll have to go through the video and see
I
what
don't
number
know.
I'm. I think it's
Four.
number. Hang on. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, 8. The shop's closing early, which is, you would think that's a bit backwards.
Yep.
Why do they close early? Why do they close on a Saturday afternoon at whatever?
Yeah, and most of the shops do close. I mean, some of the the hardware stores and things like that, like the equivalent to your B&Qs or your I don't know, Hammer Hardware or whatever it's called in the US. They stay open till, I think on a Saturday it's 5 o'clock, isn't it? 5 or 6 o'clock max, bang, then they're closed. In the UK they start until 10 o'clock on a Saturday.
Never shut.
No, some of them are open on 24/7, aren't they?
Some of them are, yeah.
Yeah.
And people think they tend to think that's a good thing. And they're like, oh, it's brilliant. You can shop whenever. No, it's not a good thing.
No.
Because what about the people that work there? They've got no life. And also, if you're so sad that you're going to go out at 11 o'clock at night and think, I know, I'll go and get some putty to put around my windows or something.
Yeah, we all have emergencies, but at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I understand that, but I don't know. I don't see that as a backward thing, Brian. I see it as a positive.
Yeah,
we
did when we first came here. We thought, where is everybody? On a Saturday afternoon, it was just like 80% of the shops were closed, weren't they, on a Saturday afternoon? So around about 2 o'clock, they just close up because it's that work-life balance again, isn't it? And that's what I feel is huge here. It really is,
Go and watch the video, Why 30% of Immigrants Leave New Zealand. And that we talk about that in that video, don't we? Because literally you can't get your head around the fact that, hang on a minute, why haven't I got, the shopping culture? Oh, and also I did an interview with a Kiwi girl called Jen. She's a New Zealander, and she talked about this. She's got a British boyfriend, and she spent lockdown in Bristol in England for 8 months. And she talks about she couldn't believe it. She's just like, all people want to do is shop.
Yeah.
Shop. That's it. And it's like, and I'm not going to go, because we were like that when we first came. So I'm not going to be hypocritical, but actually what you think at first is a bit backward. It's actually, it improves your life immensely because you find other things to do and much more
not so much
fun
spending
things
money
to do. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I've got to be quick because we're getting to the end, but cafes, I was just going to say that, like when you're driving along in the UK and all you've got is like a service station for miles and you just have to go into that service station and just eat the crappy plasticky food in there.
Yeah.
In New Zealand, you can be in the middle of nowhere, can't you? And you see this little sign, oh, cafe, and you think, oh, that'll be a bit rubbish, but we'll go anyway.
Yeah.
And it's just fantastic.
Yeah.
Or
pies.
Oh, anything.
But it is,
anything.
yeah.
I am yet to go anywhere. I'm yet to drive anywhere in New Zealand and not be able to get a bloody good cup of coffee and a really nice piece of cake or, like you say, good pie.
Yeah.
I don't know. They've just got the cafe culture over here is way ahead.
Well, I think one of the main things is, you go, I just think, the UK has become a little bit like the US where you have a lot of chains, because the cost of rent in the middle of cities and things is very high. I don't know. You've got lots of cafes that are individuals, but they tend to be. You just got to remember
Like
back to
Costa
Bath. There's
Coffee
Costa
and-
Coffee, there's
yeah.
Starbucks,
Yeah.
there's Cadbury's Coffee Shop, and they're just all those sort of chains that were there. Pret a Manger, all those.
I like Pret a Manger. They're bright.
Well, used to.
I like their
but
sandwiches.
Yeah. But
They
you know
were
what I mean?
nice.
It's
Yeah,
like
I know what you
it
mean,
all
yeah.
feels the
Yeah,
same in most
yeah.
towns that you go to. It's all the same chains. But you do have chains here. But it's we have Starbucks and.
But I think the thing that I was trying to say is like just that. It's like
Mm-hmm.
they're just way ahead in the cafe culture. They're just, you can go anywhere in a garden center. You can go down a little lane and there it is set up in someone's back garden. And it's flipping brilliant. It's just, you're never, ever disappointed.
Yeah, it's a bit like France where you've got to
You
be
really crave
trained.
it.
You've got to be a trained barista to
Yeah.
serve coffee.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, we should have talked about that.
Yeah,
as
but
well.
that's what I say. It's like you need a license to serve coffee.
Yeah.
And I think that's great.
yeah.
I love that.
So do
'Cause,
I.
Yeah, it makes that bit of difference,
And you could if you don't get a good cup of coffee in New Zealand, you can go and complain. Not
Yeah.
I don't ever complain because I'm a Brit. But
No.
if you were like a complaining
Complain to each
person,
other,
yeah, you just
but
moan
yeah.
to each other, So, but yeah, you're not going to get a bad cup of coffee in New Zealand.
No.
So they're way ahead with their coffee culture and their cafes. Right, last one: reusing, reducing, and recycling. Bit of a mouthful that.
Yep.
What New Zealanders? Come on,
Yeah.
they reuse and do
Yes,
up and
they try and fix everything.
They do.
They really do. I just think it's that sort of mentality which I love because I've always been one for fixing things. I mean, like Tessa's got a 2003 mini, a mini one. We got her for.
No, hang on, we didn't get it. She bought it.
No,
herself.
she bought it as well. Yeah, but we travelled over half the country to go and get it.
But she'd want us to say that she paid for that herself.
But yeah, I mean, as a project for Tess, I made her. We had to change the electric window system in it on the passenger door. So I made her do a video with me, so she knew how to do it. And she was just like, I can't believe all that goes into a window, just to make it go up and down.
Is that what she said to you?
Yeah, yeah.
She came in here and said to me, "Oh,
Boring.
it's boring that video." I don't think that's going to do well on YouTube. It's really
but it
boring.
was-
I said no because
It's
no,
not. Yeah, it's not for that.
I said it's
yeah,
not that sort
yeah.
of video. It's more of an educational video.
Yeah, it was to make her learn how to do some video editing and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But that's the
yeah.
sort of thing that I don't know. It's just reusing everything. And
You're not judged in New Zealand if you say, "Oh yeah, I'm just going to go to the op shop and I'm going to buy something," or "I got this secondhand," or "I bought this off Trade Me." It's not like, "Oh,
No.
why are you doing that?" It's
Yeah.
just it's normal. It's just
Well, why not?
acceptable. Yeah, exactly.
It's
why
not that disposable culture where
But
just
not everyone's
bin it,
like
throw
that,
it
right?
away,
Yeah,
send it
no.
in, put it in the skip. Oh,
Yeah.
glad to see the end of that.
And do you know
know?
what I saw in the paper the other day? I should have kept it so I could. Actually, I took a photo of it because I'm donating a load of stuff to it that's in the garage. It was in the paper in Taranaki. These two women have set up, it's called the Free Op Shop. I just love this. It's in the back of their garage, right?
Yep.
And what they do is you donate to this Free Op Shop.
So you just take what would be going into the skip normally.
No, or the skip or the op shop or whatever.
yeah.
And they're giving away for free, And what I really loved is
No, all that
it's like a-
time that
it's
they're
like-
spending. That's
I
great, isn't
know.
it? Yeah.
And it's like a swap thing, I think, as well.
Right.
Just for people who are in need and they just, how forward thinking is that?
Yeah, is that the one?
How
that
nice.
If it's still got a label on it, they put it in the
Yeah.
birthday box or something.
Yeah, that
don't
made
they?
me laugh. So it's got in the paper, if you bring something that's like still got the label on and it's worth a bit of money, what they've got is like Brian just said, it's called the birthday box. And because that's like a special box.
The good stuff.
Yeah, like the really good stuff. And if you can go and prove that it's your birthday, God knows how you do that. Maybe
Well,
you'd have
just
to
take
take
your
your
driving
passport.
license. Yeah, passport.
Just take a picture of your birthday cake.
Yeah.
And then you can go to the birthday box and pick something out of that. How
Yeah,
gorgeous.
that's cool, isn't it? Yeah.
How lovely is
Yeah.
that? So yeah, I don't know what the word is, but I reckon New Zealand must be leading in the whole reduce, reuse, recycle thing. They must be because
Yeah.
that's what they do, and it's just, it's lovely,
Yep.
isn't it?
Yep. Fix it and fix it and fix it. And then if it can't fix it, then
Yeah.
break it up and use the bits that you can still use.
Yeah.
Which is great. Yeah.
All right. So I hope you enjoyed that episode on whether New Zealand was backwards and just the way of life in New Zealand. And hopefully we've convinced you that you are not coming to Back and Beyond.
No.
Go and listen to the podcast. Listen to this podcast. That is a fantastic one.
Yeah, it's a good one. That, isn't it?
Misconceptions about New Zealand. You wouldn't believe what people think New Zealand, what they're coming to. In fact, we've got to do part 2 of that. Because that was such a good, it was a good podcast.
Yeah, it was.
But until then, I hope you've enjoyed it. Like I say, I'm waiting for my stirrup emoji, please, in the comments. Just let us know wherever you are in the world, what's going on. And we love your comments on YouTube and just, you know.
Don't forget to subscribe. Click the subscribe button.
Yeah.
Leave some comments for us. Really do appreciate it. It helps us an awful lot to keep, giving you these podcasts. It really does.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So until next time, I'll speak to you soon and goodbye.
Hey, kia kaha, stay strong and see you next time. Thanks now.
Hello.